Welcome back to the channel, Apex family. I am back at the Lebanon Auto Auction. I'm a little bit early. Not all of them had showed up for this evening's auction, but see what we can find wrong with some of these vehicles that they try to push through with the check engine lights, and they like to reset them as well before they bring them. And with the permanently stored codes, you can't erase them. They are there until the problem is fixed, and sometimes you need a dealership to have them reset, and we'll be able to find that with the Zurich. Let's get started, see what we can find. Okay, we found our first victim of the day with a check engine light. This is the 2005 Volkswagen Touareg. This is their compact SUV. I mean, it's not a bad looking vehicle. It has good tires on the tread. It's inspected till next year. They have a service sticker up top, and it was just, the oil was just changed, but when you fire it up, you are greeted with a friendly check engine light. So we're going to hook up the Zurich ZR15s, and we're going to figure out, try and diagnose what the problem may be. What's nice about this, when you fire it up, it has an LED light that gives you a little bit of light to get underneath the dash to help find the code reader. And it's right here. So all we do is turn on the key and let the unit come to life, and we'll see what we can find. There are specific codes meant for each make and model, and the P0012 code for Volkswagen will point towards a crankshaft position sensor. It indicates that the position timing, bank 1, is off keel, and that will, it'll lead to poor engine performance and will definitely trip the code. This thing's also throwing the P0431 code, and in Volkswagen, that will point towards the catalytic converter failing, or maybe a sensor before and after. But this is common throughout a lot of make and models that I see going through the auctions. And really the bad news is it's showing that both banks, bank 1 and 2, which is both sides of the engine, you're having that type of problem. So both converters, or 2 to 4 sensors at the very least, and that adds up quickly. That is a very expensive repair. As a commercial goes, but wait, there's more. It's also throwing the U0101 code, and for Volkswagen, that is a communication breakdown between the engine control module and the transmission, and that is normally the bus, or in other words, the wiring harness and its connectors. There could be a short or damage or corrosion, and that is a nightmare to find. Okay, our next victim is going to be a 2014 Nissan Altima. Again, looks like it's in good shape. Now, the last one had 160,000 miles. I think this one has a little bit less. And this one also is inspected till next year. Looks good. Inside now. This one has less miles with 115,000, but when you start it up, you are greeted once again with that pesky check engine light. Let's hook up the 15S, see what we have. All right, we have it hooked up. You want to have the power on, but with the vehicle not running, and let it run through its diagnostic process. We are now linked. Yes, I know. We have 4 stored codes, the P0076. Nissan transmissions are absolutely junk, so this one's no surprise. The P0776 code is solenoid B, which is in charge of the hydraulic pressure within the transmission itself. That going bad, no surprise whatsoever. It's also throwing code P0300 for Nissan. That means there is a multiple cylinder misfire. That could mean faulty spark plugs, clogged injectors, vacuum leaks, low fuel pressure as well. Another thing I like to do then after that is go down to all module scan, and that when you press that, it'll cycle through every single module, not just your important transmission, motor, your important drive components. It also checks like window solenoids and regulators and lights and simple things such as that. So I'll let it run its course. That takes a little bit longer because there's so many different types of solenoids and sensors to go through. You got to let it run its course, and it takes a little bit of time, and then it'll show you how many codes it's throwing in each category, and then you can go into those and really start to pinpoint and diagnose and add up, because every single code that's thrown is going to be dollar signs adding up for you and your repair, especially if you're in a state that requires state inspection. As we dig, besides the transmission, we can find 2 more DTCs found in the ABS system. And really, the deeper you dig, the more dollar signs are going to be adding up for you for each vehicle. Really, though, the important ones are going to be anything pertaining to the drivetrain. From there on, it's just nickel and dime stuff that you can pretty much make it a do-it-yourself project at any time. The next one on the list is an 04 Chevy Equinox. I would always stay away from these to begin with because of the V6 engines that they have. This one's rough and has higher mileage to begin with. At 163,000, and as we start it up, we are warmly greeted with that check engine light and that annoying ding for the door. It's now closed. Let me get the wipers off, shut it back off. We'll keep the ignition on, and we'll plug in the Zurich ZR15s. Scan in progress. For the Chevy here, the code popping up is a P0443, and that's the EVAP system. And that could be a control valve circuit, and I would always start simple with just making sure your gas cap is on properly, and maybe you just forgot it at the gas station completely. You can also check wiring issues, malfunctioning powertrain control module, PCM, or again, the faulty purge valve. And really, that's all that this one here is complaining about, as rough as it is. So we can skip down to all modules and check the rest of the system throughout this old Chevy. Once it's circling through, we're going to find, just as with most cars, there's going to be DTCs in the ABS system. There's also one in the ECM, or the engine control module, and a few other ones, little things to look after. Under the ABS system, it can mean many things, but the C01100 code is for the ABS motor pump circuit, which means when the anti-lock brake system is trying to stop the risk of skidding can malfunction and cause some problems. So a few things to share, and obviously I'm not a trained mechanic, I'm not certified, worked in a small shop years ago and just learned how to maintain my vehicles. But I just wanted to show you a fun way that you can utilize a machine like this purchased locally at Harbor Freight. And when you go to look at a vehicle, if you see something pop up, a check engine light, you can hook this up and quickly and easily be guided to a section or a category that could be wrong with it. And you can even pinpoint the exact problem with the vehicle with a tool like this. And I wanted to share that with you. And it's fun for me to come out to the auctions and see what type of vehicles that some of the dealerships, this particular auction, great auction, incredible staff. Most of the vehicles that come through here and are available are from small dealerships where these are the trade-ins for the cars that they have on the lot. And a lot of the times they like to push the vehicles through with check engine lights. They're not going to touch them and put any time or money into them or clean them. They just want to send them through, get a quick buck out of them, and move on to the next vehicle. But for me, it gives me an idea. If I find something to bid on that has one of these check engine lights, which is very rare, I try to stay away from these, I know what I'm looking at. And something else, the most common code that I see is for emissions. The catalytic converter system clogged, or your O2 sensor. There are 4 of them, 2 before and 2 after the cats. And if one of those goes bad, it's going to set off, it's going to trigger a code. And I find them to be the most common of all of the codes triggered. All right, let's move on and see what else we can find. All right, we found one more. This is a 2012 Chevy Spark Bank Repo, 103,000 miles. I mean, 103,000 miles isn't bad. However, when you fire it up and let it go through all its progressions, you are once again left with that gorgeous orange picture of an engine. Well, it may be gorgeous, but it's not a good sign. So let's hook up the Zurich and see what we can find. All right, this code for Chevy is a lean fuel, which means it indicates the mixture for engine bank 1. It's too much air and too little fuel in the combustion process. The car is also starving for voltage. It's throwing the P0300 code, or 131, and that's low voltage issues for sensors. It could be a faulty oxygen sensor or damaged wiring, but most of the time when I come across these wacky ones, it's because the batteries have been dead here and there, and they just jump them to get them going. And it just causes havoc throughout the electrical system. All right, guys, so that's 4 vehicles we found in just a short span of time with the check engine lights that are going through the auction. And there are going to be individuals bidding on these. And if they're smart, they would bring along one of many code readers available. There are some that, through Bluetooth, you hook up to the port and you can operate through your cell phone. You just stick these in your pocket, or you can have a more elaborate one like the one I have here. The one I have here runs at about $350 or so, works on just about any vehicle, and is a great tool to lug along to auctions, or if I'm going to a private sale, just to see what I'm getting into, check engine light or not, I bring this with and I hook it up and I go through and check all of the modules. I hope that helps. This has been Brian from Apex Auction Car Reconditioning, and I'll catch you in the next video.